Hello everyone, it's David again, Season 2, Episode 18, Confessions and Lamentations. I gotta say, I had a lot of trepidation wanting to do this commentary. The reason is, as I'm sure I've mentioned before, and I'm saying this for if you're new to the channel, I used to be a registered nurse, and I used to work on my last 12 years of nursing was on a ventilator telemetry step-down, ICU step-down unit, where we dealt with lots of, coronavirus patients would have been our specialty. However, about 8 years ago, I blew out my back and wound up having to quit nursing. I'm on private disability insurance and everything, but I still have a lot of doctors and nurses who are good friends of mine and have told me a lot about the coronavirus and the pandemic. I guess if you say, I'm deliberately misquoting some of the words, like pandemic, because I guess if you say the original word, that it gets you into like YouTube jail. It takes some longer time to post your video because they want to, make sure that you're not into any sort of quack therapy that you're trying to promote, kind of thing. So we start off, and this is the one, if any of you have problems with like things like mass death and, the current pandemic is getting you into a funk, this is not the episode to watch right now, okay? Because this is the one where the Markab sector is completely, people are completely wiped out by the Drafa. Now, to say that this episode was written with the future in mind would be the understatement of the century. JMS didn't have the coronavirus to draw off of, but he had things like AIDS. I think Ebola might have been starting to peek its ugly head. God forbid if that one ever gets airborne. I weep for the human race if Ebola virus ever gets airborne, but you never know if an international group gets together, maybe they can come up with a vaccine in a year. Because, the vaccine, the technology and stuff, they actually have had that technology around since 1989. Everybody's sitting there screaming, oh, it's new stuff. They're experimenting on you. No, they're not experimenting on you. I went to nursing school in 1990, and they were coming out with this big old thing about, being able to replicate RNA sequences for vaccines for the HIV virus. We've learned much to our chagrin that it's a little bit more complicated than that. But if a bunch of people get together, they can find a cure for that sort of thing. Starts off with a Markab transport 10 hours late. Lieutenant Keffer is out on exploration, not with Zeta Squadron, but doing his own little thing. He, as we all know, he's looking for a shadow vessel. And Sheridan recalling what Delenn and Kosh said about, we got to keep this on the down low. We can't let the shadows know that we're on to them. And so he orders Ivanova to order Lieutenant Keffer no more freelance expeditions. And of course, we all know that didn't work, but not in this episode. Dr. Franklin is working with a Markab doctor to diagnose the cause of death. We all know now that it's the Drafa plague. A plague that went dormant for many centuries, and yes, plagues can do that. I don't know, the current iteration of the coronavirus, God, that coronavirus is millions of years old. So, it goes away, comes back, develops the ability to aerosolize, how contagious it is. Ask a doctor or virologist if you need more information, but I can tell you as a nurse, these things come around. They go away, they come around. We are not done with SARS or MERS or any of those viruses by any long shot, but now that it's been out there for years, we have very effective treatments. We also have treatments for the coronavirus, but we have a very good vaccine system. How do I know that? I was talking to one of my former coworkers. She said, David, on our 32-bed unit, not one of them was vaccinated. Okay? In other words, the people who are getting vaccinated aren't going to the hospital. They don't need the hospital. They're doing just fine, thank you. The people that are in the hospital are the ones that didn't get their vaccine, and they just want, oh, well, God will take care of it. Well, what happens when you die? Who's going to pay your hospital bill? God? If you're going to do all this, you need to take 100% responsibility for your actions. Stop going on GoFundMe and expect me to feel sympathy for you because you refused to get a vaccine that was very simple. Takes a fraction of a second. I know I've given thousands of them myself. Not this exact vaccine, but I've given thousands of other vaccines. One of my nurse managers once came to me and said, David, I was pulling up your last quarter's medication schedule because y'all have to have those little scanner things to get your medicines now. And she said, the last quarter of this last year, you gave out 1,250 medications. Okay, that's 1 quarter. Take that, multiply that number by 4. That's 1 year. Multiply that by 18 and a half years, and you'll have an idea of how much medication a typical nurse gives, okay? Mind-boggling, but I've given thousands of vaccines. I've only had 2 people have severe reactions to it. One was a rash on her shoulder, and I think the other one, I think she had a seizure, but she also had a history of epilepsy too, so who knows if it was the vaccine or the epilepsy. In this one, we have Dr. Lazarin, who's playing the Markab doctor, working with Dr. Franklin, who is Jim Norton. He played Ombuds Wellington and will play a Narn in a future episode. I believe it's Jakar's dad, if memory serves. Sheridan shows up for dinner at the Lens. Linear took 2 days to prepare the meal, 15 stages to cooking. There are rituals to put each spice in a specific order, and you can't sleep. And to remain pure, he can only take bread and water. He learns one of the rituals is they have to put a piece of flarn for Valen in the space that was saved for him. And he's like, well, what's flarn? Flarn is green. So flarn is also like the national dish of the Minbari. They go to meditate, as we all know. Delenn and Linear wake up Sheridan, and they said, what were you doing? And he's like, I wasn't sleeping. And he's like, that sound you were making is part of meditation. He goes, I do not snore, which is, almost a surefire way of telling somebody or hearing from somebody, yeah, I snore, and I know it. But at any rate, Lieutenant Keffer goes in and finds 200 dead Markabs on a ship. Unfortunately, as they bring him back, the Markab doctor confesses to Dr. Franklin. He knows what it is. It's 100% terminal and 100% contagious. It reminds me a lot of the misinformation that was going around about the early AIDS virus. Okay? Now, having given my spiel earlier, I am absolutely aware that coronavirus is not 100% terminal and it's not 100% contagious. But it is extremely terminal for a lot of groups of people. And it's up to the rest of us to get our vaccines so that we can build an immune system so that we do not act as a reservoir for the next round of the coronavirus. And I'm taping this, or recording this on 11/29/2021. We now have another one besides the Delta virus that is coming out. Okay? Had most people gotten their vaccines, we probably wouldn't have to worry about. We may not even have had the existence of this. I can't remember, it's called the Omicron virus or something like that. Now, I'll have to go look it up. I just caught a glimpse of it. As I was talking to some of my nursing friends, yep, there's another strain coming out there, and it takes 10 to 12 days minimum for your body to build up a resistance. You cannot go to the emergency room, get your vaccine, and all of a sudden they'll just send you home. That's not the way it works, people. You have to get it now. And if you haven't done so, for the love of Allah, Buddha, the Great Spirit, whoever you worship, get it done. Okay, there really is no reason at this point, unless you are some reason deadly allergic. And yes, I know there are some people like that. I've met a few. But for the vast majority of us, we can get this vaccine no problem. Dr. Franklin did come up with the vaccine. Sadly, it was too late for the entire Markab civilization. And I realize that this round of the coronavirus is not going to do it. But you know what? We've already lost trillions of dollars because people had to stay indoors and couldn't go to their job offices because we had no treatment for it. Now we've got the treatment, and at least a good third to half the population refuses to take the treatment. Well, if that's the case, then you know what? Stop expecting the rest of us to pay for your mistakes. Stay at home, take care of yourself, and when it comes time to pass away, pay for your own burial expenses. Stop expecting the rest of us to pay for it. And stop taking up hospital beds, and I hear this from my nurse and doctor friends all the time. Stop taking up hospital beds that could be used for people like me who got their vaccines, who give a damn about their situation. Okay? It's like the patient I had that wanted me fired from the hospital. Not just from the hospital. You know what my transgression was? I told the man he had to stop smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. That's why he had his heart attack. Okay, really? Really? You want me fired for that? And these are the same kind of people. We don't know what's really... Do you know what's in your shampoo? I doubt that you do. Do you know what's in your hair conditioner? Read the ingredients sometimes and take a look at it. How about your shaving cream? How about your Viagra pill? You trust the pharmaceuticals for that little pill? Why not then this simple injection that for the vast majority of people is going to be a lifesaver? Would you do it for your wife? Would you do it for your children? Now, thank God children are finally getting some immunization hope. Hopefully, if they have parents who say, no, we don't want you to have this, hopefully they're smart enough to go behind their parents' back and just get the immunization, the vaccine, and don't share it. Now, I know that's controversial, and I know I might get grief from some people, but every once in a while, it's necessary. If you have parents who aren't going to listen to reason, aren't going to listen to logic, and not going to listen to scientists and doctors and nurses and pharmacists who all say, get your damn vaccine. And if you don't, stay at home in complete isolation. Don't go out and spread your germs to the rest of the world. You don't have that right. There's nothing in the United States Constitution that says, thou shalt have the right to cough in my face and give me a deadly disease. You don't have that right. Your rights end at the end of your nose, and they end at the end of my nose. You don't have the right to contaminate me or anybody else, even if it's your own wife and your own children. Okay? So, please everybody, go and get your vaccine. Sorry, I didn't do much on Confessions and Lamentations. We are on, the One Babylon 5 mantra, Faith Manages, comes out in this particular episode. And we learned from an ISM report that other than maybe a few small, tiny areas of out-of-the-way populations, the Markab civilization is dead. Now, I realize the current situation is not going to, all the human race is not going to die because of this one virus. I realize that. But what happens if this is practiced for, if Ebola, if that sucker ever, that has a 90 to 100% death rate, mortality rate. Okay? You don't think, I don't want to deal with Bob, he's sneezing. Well, try it when Bob is bleeding out of his eyes, his nose, his mouth, and other body parts. That's what could be in store for us. This might be your practice session. But I'm going to get off my high horse now and go de-stress as I hit the end button to this particular commentary. Let me know below what your thoughts are. As long as they're reasoned and well thought out, I'll listen to you. If it's a bunch of garbage, but what about the mega corporations? What about the pharmacies and all of that? Yeah, just don't. All right, people? I was a nurse for way too long. I'm not going to fall for that stupidity, okay? And if I am not going to fall for it, neither should you. At any rate, like, comment, subscribe, and share. We are almost at 100 subscribers. Hope you all have a good rest of your day.